allegiance to
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So everyone's here, right? We want to address our guests first. You approved the previous minutes.
Yeah.
Do that first. Sent those out last. Previously. So, motion to approve the previous minutes.
I make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
So approved. I don't know where mine went. Okay. Those are approved, so guess we have quite a few guests here that we will be briefly addressing. I guess, what are we?
You don't mind, I'll
Yeah,
just speak up, but we're all here because we want to know how you guys came to the conclusion of shutting down somebody's businesses in the best interest of our town.
is everybody here in that position? Okay. Well, we spoke a little bit about this prior to the meeting. You guys are not on the agenda, but we're happy to address it briefly, and then if we want to put you on the agenda for a later
Well, we just
meeting.
need an explanation.
Well, so let me see here. To my understanding, who's the person that's operating the business?
I am. I wouldn't call it a business, but that
Okay.
can be discussed later.
But you're still operating, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so she's not technically shut down.
No shit.
Okay. Well, here we go. So. Let's see this. And I'll start by saying I have zero idea what your situation is. This is my second month here. We briefly discussed it last meeting. We tabled it until we could figure out what was going on and actually look through the paperwork. But so if you look at our code, which is right here.
Yeah, I believe you about all that stuff. I don't think anybody here cares about this stuff.
Well, that's,
Well, I get that you guys have a job and you can do your thing, but there's so many instances of this same thing going on everywhere around town. From truck drivers to, Prime to everybody delivering stuff. I was just by there. She's got a nice big turnaround. She's got nothing in her yard. She's a well-kept place. I don't believe there's anybody coming at odd times or doing odd things. So who's to say?
well, to my knowledge, you went to the appeals board.
I did not.
You did not.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I got a certified letter in the mail that said I had to appear on December 3rd or 4th, whenever the meeting was. I had an hour-long conversation with Gabe, the zoning inspector, who served me. Pretty much said, what the hell is this? And he said, basically, we brought to the attention that you're running a business, so they think, fill this stuff out, pay your $70 fee. It's just standard procedure, show up, they may ask you a few questions, sign, seal the deal, you'll be on your way. Okay, so I believe my mother and my best friend and I were here, the December meeting. They addressed the solar fields and they addressed me. Somebody asked for an explanation of what I do. I explained it, and no faster than I finished my sentence, they said, nope, this is a no, we all vote no, meeting adjourned. The next morning, I was contacted by our chief of police. Pretty much asked me for a quick rundown of what I do. Explained to him I'm basically a garage sale online. I don't do it out of, I don't set things up at my house. I run it through Facebook. And he said, yeah, I'm not okay with this. I don't stand for this. You sit back, let me do a few things and I'll be in contact. A couple days later, I heard from George. He said he had talked to a few people. He didn't say anything wrong with what was going on and to continue to operate unless I heard from him and only him. Otherwise, so that's what I've continued to do. Then you guys held your January meeting, in which I was not here for. It was recorded and I woke up the next morning to a mess of notifications, people tagging me, commenting that it was still an issue, that the one person who seems to have an issue with it was here questioning more things. It went all over what's going on in Antwerp. It went all over my Facebook page, and then we all agreed we would be at the next one, so here we are.
January
Just,
meeting.
just to clarify for the group, there are 3 different zoning activity groups, okay? So this group here is responsible for review and revision and creation of the ordinances. So writing the laws, right, if you want to look at it that way. And so that's what this group is here for. And then we have the zoning appeals group, and then we have the zoning variance group.
Okay.
And so you have not been to any of our meetings. We didn't have a January meeting, so I'm not familiar with any of this.
Are we the inappropriate meeting, I guess, as well?
Yes,
So when would that meeting be? Because I guess I was not, I was just told zoning meetings are this day, and that's what I showed up to, was a zoning meeting.
Like I said, we have three different groups that all serve a different interest.
You were originally at the zoning appeals meeting, correct?
I don't know, I was just told to show up to the zoning
Yeah, it
meeting.
was. I watched it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so-
where do we go to get this annulled or, this set aside? This is, I'd like to hear somebody explain why she can't have people pulling in and out of her driveway.
well, if you wanna know that, it's actually in the code. If you want me to do a brief
I don't.
explanation,
You know what I mean? I honestly, I love you guys. I know most of you, but nobody cares about this stuff, but this little tiny group and the one guy that lives across the street that is trying to get this shut down. I've offered a million compromises, you know what I mean? Ways that we could work around this, you know what I mean? But nobody seems, they just said no and seemed to slam the
Yeah,
door.
So variance is another word for compromise, right? So that's the whole intent of that group. And that would be the place to find a compromise, quite frankly. Whether or not you're successful, I don't know. I don't participate with that group. But the whole intent of these ordinances, just so everybody understands, is to try and keep peace and harmony in all the neighborhoods. So that you don't have a Dollar General pop up, next to you,
We understand
or a
that. And
strip
that's what a
club or
zoning-
whatever,
we-
so.
I think we can.
These
agree
are
on
all
that.
to create harmony so that we all can enjoy peaceably our own homes.
Sure.
And that's really the
What do I
basis
do
of
about
what
the
we're
guy
trying to
next door to me
accomplish.
that orders Prime 7 times a day? He comes in and out of my addition.
Oh, trust me, there's plenty of room for improvement in all of these things.
And
So
it's the same thing. It's people getting things that they bought.
Yeah.
And so for them to be able to go to every house in this town without a problem, but nobody can go to her house without a problem. That's where the problem lies. You know what I mean? I was just down there, I wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about. I can tell you that mailbox that has the goofy thing sticking up around it, I assume that's his. It doesn't look like it's been hit in a very long time, if it's ever been hit. I didn't-
Your neighbor, but yes.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
here again, I'm not familiar with any of the
I'm not
background
either.
story.
I'm merely saying, if this is not what you guys deal with,
Where and when do
We-
we need to be?
you are our zoning people. So we're asking you.
Right. So
Where do we,
Not all these meetings are online either. I mean, it only has this zoning for like,
well, the zoning board of appeals doesn't meet unless there's an appeal.
something to meet for, right?
Which in that defense, George told me there was nothing to appeal, don't appeal. Just so we're all on the same page.
so I guess I am interested. Go ahead and read there.
Okay, so I imagine your house is in a residential neighborhood. I know nothing about this. It's zoned R1 residential.
Yep.
Right, so if you look at our code, residential uses, it goes down through. The only one that would be remotely close would be home occupation.
Yep.
Which is a conditional use.
Yep, which is what I had to apply for.
So you did apply for that?
Yep,
Okay, so did you? So you went down, I brought this, you went down through this whole thing and did the permit, name,
yeah,
address,
we had to
legal
have it, Dave
description.
had to look at everything, we had to zone, the amount of feet that I use in my garage, so basically, so that everybody is well aware, I take pictures of items and I post them on my Facebook. So I say, I've got a size 2T boys t-shirt, Here's the brand, no stains, no holes, for $1. If you or somebody you know is in need, here's your perfect opportunity to get name brand clothing for your child. I've sold cribs, I've sold anything you can think of. Washers, yes.
So-
But everything is kept inside of her garage and everybody just goes up, opens their door, picks out their stuff, puts it in their car and drives.
I can tell you, I am there every week. And I'm the only one there every week. I have never met anybody saying passing or in the driveway.
Which to go back
It's
on,
not a bunch of people down that road.
the only complaint that they're able to pull from this that keeps getting brought up is how I've turned Buffalo Street into US 24 for the traffic. That is the one complaint. I have offered my surveillance to the police department. There's never been any active police department complaints, which is why George got involved, because George is like, we're sitting here and I'm seeing these things and I'm hearing these things, but yet I'm the chief of police and I know nothing about it. What is going on? What is going on? I've offered everything up I can. I've got a 12-hour window you have from 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday only to come and get your items. It's you walk in, I don't see these people, I don't talk to these people unless I'm outside. I maybe have 10, 11 cars a day come, which I get. Buffalo Street is a dead end road, but catty corner from me is the hospital. Or the doctor's office, I'm sorry, which definitely brings more, or did bring more traffic than I did. So I guess my question is, why, if this is such an issue, why do we keep having it brought up? Why do I keep getting drug into this? When the chief of police tells me to go, but then I see these videos and I'm tagged in the videos saying, now I'm gonna be sued, now you guys are gonna use taxpayers' dollars and take me to court. But yet nobody seems to know what's going on. That's why I'm here. Because I get 3 different people telling me 3 different things. And then I got all of these people who are here on my behalf going, this isn't right. What's going on? Somebody said this, somebody said that, but nobody has the same story of what we do.
Sorry. I'm Kim Gibson. I'm Vermont. Bryce, you were at that meeting for the what zoning meeting were we at? That was in December
That was the appeals.
That was the appeals board zoning meeting that's online.
with Gabe Overland.
That is correct.
Okay.
What was the one that just got recorded?
In
That
early
was this one.
February was this one here. And they were these people here were discussing a little bit about it. But they didn't make that decision before. They were
Oh,
only
Right, no,
discussing.
that's what.
It
I'm
was
just trying to
brought up.
understand.
Yeah, it
In
was
our
just brought up.
meeting, we discussed it briefly and then we tabled it because none of us know anything about it.
Right, okay.
And it was like his first day on the job.
Yeah,
It was just
literally.
a matter of,
Literally.
let's get acquainted with, kind of what we're doing.
So
It does.
Then let's go.
I'm sorry. Are you saying that she failed to meet her recommendations on that?
I have no idea.
Give us an explanation.
All,
That was the hard part.
the only thing I'm telling you is we don't really have anything to do with it. Except for if you file for the appeal and then you go to their board.
Okay.
So if that already happened technically and you got denied, I don't know what to do after that. I know that our board isn't doing anything about it. So if you're still operating,
He's operating
At this
under
point,
the chief of police telling her
Well-
that board had no
You pretty much said they had no leg to stand on, keep moving.
to tell her that she
And that's-
cannot continue with her business.
That's what
So,
the town believes.
We went
also.
with the chief of police.
and I'm not gonna comment on that because I have no idea.
Right, and that's
Um,
understandable.
I can tell you that in the conditional use permit that you applied for, the stipulations are right here and I can give it to you. And part of them, it says there shall be no sales on premise, no traffic shall be generated such as greater volume than what would be normally expected.
Right,
So that's the only thing that I am looking at here.
Are we gonna go after every small town, like? Baker?
I don't think we're going after anybody.
Okay, so let's just, is anybody going after her from
No.
here on out? So
Absolutely.
as far as we're
At this
concerned,
point,
I
no.
guess here's what I ask. While I am thankful for every single person in here, do I need to continue with my lawyer in a lawsuit, or is this going to be dropped at this point? That's what I'm here to know.
That's not us.
Right, but I'm just saying, you're saying nobody here is pushing the issue, so that's
No.
what I'm trying to figure out.
Can you give us the name of who is the head of
who I need to contact or what meeting I need
Here's
to
what
be
I
at.
would do. I would just let it be.
Okay,
That's what I
I
think.
just let it be.
Okay.
We're not pursuing it. And and I'm not an attorney and I
That's what
don't,
all we're asking,
Right.
is we just,
You didn't even appeal. They just wanted you coming there and they turned you down. I guess I don't,
that's exactly what.
did he tell you you had to appeal it or?
I just know I had to have a permit to do what I was doing,
Right.
and the biggest thing that comes up is. The biggest thing I was told was, in order to be a business, you have to have a permit, but they have to prove I'm a business. Now, everybody has a different opinion, I'm not here to argue that, but there's too many different legs to go on, so I was told, don't waste your money and don't appeal, because there's not enough leg in this fight.
Did they-
Dan surprised what he just said.
yeah,
Just drop it.
I would, yeah, cause we're not,
That's.
but
We have to.
did,
On the second part of this story is, this is the wrong board.
it,
We say here tonight holds no water, no legislative power. If the other board, the appeals board, wants to pursue it, your only alternative is you'll be in court
yes.
because it's gone past the Antwerp.
Yeah.
All right, so don't take our word for it and say, okay, we're good, because we cannot condone what you're doing. It's not in our power.
yeah, I think that's understood. So,
That's just why I wanna make it clear, don't
we're just kind of
use
here to
this
make
as
sure
your
that
stepping
people
stone,
aren't
because we're not it.
messing with our townsfolk, you know,
Have
over.
you had any
our
complaints?
laws, you know.
So going on that, I have had nobody come to me, sorry, I'm dealing with congestion. I've had nobody come to me, nobody knock on my door, nobody call my phone and complain. I didn't even know we had an issue until I was showing up at this board with Steve Jordan saying this is an issue. He's never had a private conversation with me. I've never had a conversation with him. The only thing I've went off of is hearing him step up when this meeting or the zoning meeting gets recorded and continue to address that it's an issue and he wants it shut down. That's the only reason I'm here. He's the only person I've, to my knowledge, has any issue. I've got hundreds of letters from the town, people in the town speaking up. I mean, it's just a huge thing that I didn't know what I was walking into. I was told,
I don't think it needs to be a thing.
okay,
I think we all agree on that,
Yeah.
so.
I think Ben's got the best.
okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for, you know.
Thank you.
If my information is online now, so if you need anything, or if you have any other issues, just come, you can email, whatever, but.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's no bloodshed there.
No, that's no problem.
Do they have?
Are you gonna get anything else?
One other thing.
Yeah. Oh.
Are you the one that talk about the same, mobile home is the same thing? 'Cause we were, that's an example, that one is us losing out on our parents' home or not.
Yeah, so
You guys have discussed, or one of you guys have discussed that, and you keep tabling it till the next meeting. and the
Did it
next
get
meeting,
brought
the next
up?
meeting.
That was the nuisance stuff,
So,
right?
yeah, so basically what we agreed to do was to kind of pivot, if you will. And instead of trying to put teeth into a mobile home removal thing, we're gonna really pursue more of a nuisance category. So if there is a home that has a fire that it doesn't get remedied or torn down, we have some leverage to go in and make sure that it's either repaired or removed. And the same would apply then with mobile homes. If they have become disrepair to a point where they need to be condemned, if we want to use that term. We want to try and create some ordinance that provides structure in that arena, right? And just let everybody else peaceably go about their business. With that being said, the word of caution with folks who have trailers that are not permanently affixed to a foundation, over time, these things are gonna become problematic, right? And so, either deal with them so they're not becoming problematic, or, once this gets put in place and we have something that says, hey, you have a structure that's not livable anymore, then the next consequences are, or whatever. Right.
But there's still an ordinance in place, and I don't think we're gonna mess with it if the trailer is removed from the property. Another
A new
trailer
one
cannot be
cannot
put
go
in
in.
its
Right,
place.
we know that.
That ordinance will stay in effect.
Right.
But she honestly
best
pays
way to-
taxes as a home. We've already called the
Yeah.
tax department to find out because. she
But that's what
has
we're
a
trying to do, just,
foundation.
we don't wanna put a date on it, say, when it gets to this age, you have to get rid of it.
Right,
That
and
stuff
there's
is.
no good way to transition that, so we
Right.
decided to kind of pivot and say, all right, what's really concerning is when they become in disrepair to a point that, they become a blight on the neighborhood,
Oh, she's taking-
regardless of mobile home or permanent structure, that's really our concern.
Well,
Right.
that's what I was gonna say.
You guys
There's
get
plenty of houses
folding
that need some
paper?
repair too.
So,
Last week's Paulding paper had this picture in there. These trailers are in Paulding
Oh, yeah.
and they had no ordinance to get rid of them. And that's what we're trying to do is get something in line. So when they get to that disarray or we can take care of it.
yeah, and they ended up having to use basically government money to get those removed.
Well, anybody
So-
that knows the house we're talking about
Yeah.
knows it's not.
That's what we're trying to, it's just.
And that's why we decided to pivot. It's like, we've got like a scale of some that are, really nice shape, some that are relatively new, some that are well maintained, and we have others that are not. And, to try and put this wiggly line in there, and it's difficult, so.
Well, I know it was brought up that they said if it changed ownership, possession, then the trailer would have to be moved out. That was something that was brought up.
That was a draft. That was a draft.
Yeah, was that what we looked at
Yeah,
that was
that
done
wasn't
somewhere
actually-
else?
That was an ordinance that started through the village council. And then the council kicked it back to us because they didn't like the verbiage in it. And that's why
It
we're,
was stumbling.
we've done this, we just more or less
It was.
just tabled that permanent. So we're gonna work on this to get to the same effect, but not with the same consequences as far as, brass and people.
She's put new windows in, new roof on in the last like 3-4 years. So if something happens to her and we suddenly can't take it out of her name,
That's why I say, at the moment, that's kind of where we're looking to go. That makes more sense. We're really more concerned with, buildings being well maintained. And, we're trying to have peaceable neighborhoods that everyone can enjoy and not have a bunch of critters living in an abandoned, rundown structure of any kind.
right?
So, that's, we got to think about, what is the intent and then what's the best way to get there. And so, right now, that seems to be the best recourse. So rest easy. If you have a nice home and you're taking care of it, please enjoy it.
Is that helpful? Is that what your question?
Well, yeah, cause now they just kept, each month they kept saying.
We were trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
Like, are you gonna do it or get it done? No, we wanna know if we're losing it or if we're.
well, and what we looked at was pretty, I think, extreme. Targeting mobile homes and like he's saying, we wanna. Remove the blight overall. We're not gonna be just targeting mobile homes, but it will probably apply to mobile homes also. Once we figure
Well,
out.
it's understandable if it's in disarray and needs
Yeah.
repair, then that's understandable, but
And
to just say, once she passes away, then we're basically SOL. That's, that's not the way to go, because honestly, Armand is keeping that house up very well.
if she is, you have nothing to worry about then.
Okay.
So,
Windows fall out, door blows off, the roof's gone, then
yeah,
we'll have issues.
Those windows
Other than
fall out,
that-
I'm going after them, just put 'em in.
But that's what we're looking for, people that let stuff become dilapidated and don't maintain.
Block down past me.
Yeah,
Well, and see, that's part of the problem.
Right.
Right now, we don't have a good ordinance that we can go pursue. So that's why we decided to have a broader based approach.
Where do you live?
I'm on Daggett Street. Well, West Daggett, I'm your mom's neighbor.
Okay.
But on down past mine. Between me and.
You can run on the corner.
Martha Halley's old house.
Okay.
I don't live there, but that's the house I'm talking about. Something needs to be done.
sure.
And when we get something drafted, it'll be brought before the council for a first reading. Then there'll be a public hearing on it, so everybody will have a chance to see what the verbiage is. And if you have any concerns or complaints, you'll be able to do it at the public hearing. And then we can work out, maybe some more bugs in the system and then it'll proceed on down the line.
Right now, we're not attacking mobile home, we're attacking dilapidated.
Yeah.
Okay. Distressed structures, right? I'll use- that's a- there's a-
All right, then, one
Okay.
more.
Okay. Enjoy.
Okay. What's next?
The table of use, right?
Yep,
No, that, that was in the ordinance that never got that.
but
Okay.
I don't know, you should have.
We're in a confined space.
I know. Should have all got this for the most part via email. But I altered the usage for the marijuana as we discussed. We added, well, thank you. We added. We added,
Restaurant.
restaurant and bars, in B1, B2, I1, I2. And then we did recreational marijuana dispensaries in B2 and I1.
Yep.
And then same thing with medical marijuana dispensaries in B2 and I1. And those were not there before. So I added that to the usage. And as long as everyone's good with it, I think we need to vote on it.
Then just.
Yep.
Been a long time since I've gone through and read the entire thing. Are there other areas that need to have written text to connect the dots on any of that, or is this table kind of the defining moment?
What did you just ask?
If when we're in B1 area,
Mhm.
do we need to list that within the
Right.
text of the zone?
What did we
Trying to
decide
think
that
of how that is written now.
the depot is in? What does that say?
That was on B1. Which
Which B1 would be,
business, downtown business. I don't know how it got to be downtown business.
Yeah, so here's where we have permitted uses
Mm-hmm.
listed out in text.
they're showing.
Should we go through and add them
Let's see.
to?
That is their.
Does
prior
does
to
it mention
this, so
every
it's
single one though?
grandfathered in.
When I was looking at, the-
Probably not, but I don't.
The rest of
I've
it be
never really
restricted
compared
from.
one for one.
when I was looking at the verbiage for the folks that came in initially,
Right.
it really only had additional verbiage on conditional uses or accessory
Okay.
uses. I don't know how much it had on just permitted.
B1.
Okay, so it does,
It's pretty much got them
It-
listed all out.
does it?
I think.
Okay.
There's a lot of them there. Oddly enough, it's still really, oh, here it is. Any retail or service business that involves a drive-in or drive, that's not. Here it is, financial institutions and restaurants. The restaurants made
That,
The
but
text.
not the.
Right.
As a,
as a conditional
well, that's weird.
in a B1.
Now we're contradicting ourselves, aren't we?
Oh, we have this, that's B1.
And B1 and B2,
Bars.
why does it say it's conditional?
Bars, B1, B2.
Restaurants.
Oh. In financial institutions and restaurants, in those including a drive-in or drive-through facility. It's written kind of
Okay.
poorly, but that's what the intent, what that's trying to say.
That's why it's conditional. You can't put a drive-through. in
Right.
B1.
Cause you don't have
Right.
property to do it.
But,
Okay, so basically, if we add bars and restaurants under permitted, we should be covered. Because in conditional, it says drive-throughs.
Right.
It,
well, you got restaurants in conditional there, right? But it says restaurants are conditional.
Well, but then it's parenthetical, including a drive-through or drive-in or drive-through. Parenthetical is kind of a bad way to do that.
Well,
I know English
probably the
major,
only
but
building
we're sure it's
might
that
be,
way right now.
well, Oasis or the gun room are both buildings that have an alley beside them, so you wouldn't be able to buy that and make a restaurant, run a drive-through window down the alley.
Right.
That's kind of why they've got that, is prevent that from happening, I believe.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying that it's in there.
Yeah, it's not
The
public.
way it's written is poorly written, but then it's not identified in the permit.
I didn't even,
Financial institutions, so financial institutions and restaurants, so they are there.
so it is under,
So general merchandise. I'm flexibility. It's in the table. It's not gonna be a common occurrence, I don't think. I don't,
Well, the reason we put it at the table so they couldn't end up in an R1
right,
area. That was our intent.
I mean,
They
it,
restricted from,
so the other thing that's missing from scripted text would be that. Add that into the B2 prescription.
what does it say?
Well, that's the gateway district thing, and we got two different B2s.
You say B1? B1's on page 13. Also section 311.
I'm trying to find B2. So
B2,
B2,
I'm
the only
sorry.
B2 that I find is the Gateway Commercial District, which kind of localizes that.
yeah, that's primary, when we did that was for that field out there as a gateway.
Right, yeah, that's the 49 corridor, but
And B2 kind of got drug into it because River Street.
somehow we don't have a separate B2. We only have B2 Gateway in the file.
What is the difference between B1 and B2?
B2.
Downtown,
B1 is downtown only, right?
okay,
They don't have to have parking. And there's zero setback on the roads,
okay.
the sides.
So. This is gateway, this is, okay, this is two.
One, there's no lower level living.
Right.
Wow. Residents on the first floor.
Okay. So is that going to, I mean, I don't think adding marijuana to the usage, is that gonna affect any of that?
Just got it in B2 and I1.
Yeah,
It's only in B2, yeah, because we don't want them downtown, is that
right,
correct?
right.
Okay, so. So B2 would be out of town,
Well, not necessarily. River Street's on B2. It's the Presbyterian Church, funeral home. Yeah, there's some exceptions. Pit stop. It's all B2 all the way out.
so. I guess would there be conditional uses on the marijuana stuff?
They have to have a permit through the village to They have to apply for a permit through the village to even get started on it.
Well, then we have to list it under conditional.
The marijuana,
Yeah.
but what kind of
Saying a permit is
regulations?
required.
You have to
I don't know what's permitting stuff, is,
go through the building administrator, they have to file, I don't know what the permit looks like, I've never seen it.
It's,
But they have to fill out the permit of what their intent is, what their building site is gonna be, what products they are gonna sell, you know, whether it's medical or recreational or both, that kind of stuff. And it has to be approved through the village administrator and the council before they can even apply to the state for a permit.
clarifying question, is this application something that the village has created and owns?
That's a state,
Okay,
the state application that has to be approved through the village.
so we don't, the permit you said they have to apply first here.
Yeah.
Which that's just our regular building permit.
No, it's completely
It's
separate.
specific for marijuana.
Yep.
And we created that?
No, the state did.
Okay. So we're basically saying they have to have a state permit and then we approve it before they send it back to the state?
So the village has to approve it first. They apply for a permit, and then the village approves that permit. Now this is my memory from what the last one was. They applied for a permit, the village, come to the village approved. Letting them in the village for whatever reason, yes or no. And then they had to go to the state and apply for that. At that time, it was a lottery.
Liquor license,
right,
same thing.
so it's definitely gotta be a conditional use because we need a conditional use and then parenthetical.
Yeah, so you'd have to have it on a C.
I'm not sure what the parenthetical statement's gonna be, but you know, there's
So what,
state provided documentation that needs to be completed and approved through the village.
so what conditions do we wanna, I mean, don't we have to create those conditions if we add it under that? Under
It's
conditional?
already done that, right?
No, that's what the variance is for. So the conditional use gets approved by the variance or the variance board, right?
No, it's approved through council.
Really?
Marijuana, yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying other instances, don't.
Oh, conditional, yeah, if you're applying for a conditional use,
Conditional
yeah.
use, you just
that
go to
goes
the
through
variance.
Yeah. Oh, variance and, appeals. Same one, or the same board.
It used to be.
I guess
Oh.
my question is if we add it under conditional, we have to come up with the verbiage,
Condition, yeah.
what the conditions
Right.
are. So how do we do that? I mean,
Well, how did that differ than a liquor license? If I want to get a liquor license, the council has to approve it.
They're important to exist. Who's on?
so do we wanna put conditional? Well,
Yeah, you just mark it as conditional.
so should we change it as permitted to just conditional and say upon approval by the board or the council or? Cause then we don't have to necessarily write our own verbiage, it just gets approved by a board.
Yeah, with the council, city council.
Yeah, so it's not permitted. it's
So we
what?
should,
But there's a different designation.
so it should be conditional instead of permitted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. For marijuana, but
Yep.
the same B2, I1.
Right.
Okay, so we'll change that to conditional. Right. The restaurant and bars, do we need a conditional on that? I think it has it already.
Yeah, it's already in there.
So restaurant and bars is okay in B1, B2, I1, I2. So-
Let's see what it says about I1, whether or not, what all's in there and not in there. I1 and I2 is something that you would guess, it's not found it out. It's on 14 there.
Additional uses, specialized animal Raising commercial billboards.
Waterhouses.
Seems like this is geared mainly towards, wait, this is I1 or I2?
I want.
That's A1 you got.
That's agriculture.
That's why, I'm like, why is this agriculture?
That's not gonna fit.
There it is. Any industrial activity.
And in there, we say, you know, see also the T. Section 311. I think that's
Just, yeah,
It's obviously not an industrial activity. We're just allowing it. It's permitted.
right.
Here again, I don't think we have to cover everything. Both.
Right. Okay. So, do we want to leave bars and restaurants alone and just change the marijuana to conditional?
Yeah.
So do we need another draft of that before we vote on it? Or do we want to vote on changing it? And then I can do that after the fact.
Trust you to change it to C, I think.
Capital or what? So, okay, so if everyone's good with that, do we want to vote on it?
Do we have to make a nomination or just vote?
I move we accept it as written.
Yeah, and I will second it.
Okay.
Now we have to vote.
Yeah, all in favor? Opposed?
Okay.
Bill and Ken.
A lot of times what Gabe would do, he'd rewrite it and then he'd send us all an email of the revised copy. Yeah, so the
Yeah, I'll revise it and send it back out.
guys always say, looks good or made a mistake here or whatever.
lowercase c.
I never looked at that. Looked at the lowercase one.
Okay, so
Bifocals.
that's good then. Okay, so the schedule of fees, I will change that and send out an email to everybody. The only other thing on the agenda was approving the schedule of fees, which should have been sent out to everybody.
Yep.
Okay, so he doubled everything, all the permits except for the rezoning, which was $250. We left that alone.
Right.
Right. And we added
The
a
sign.
$50. Where's the sign? Right there, $50 sign fee.
And was it solicitor that's drafting this type of document when it's an ordinance? or
He
is-
did.
Yeah, okay.
I
Yep.
didn't think it was you. I'm like, this is attorney language.
Yeah, no, I did not do this. We sent it to him and he changed.
Double rezoning 250, that last notes. And then the sign for it was the only one to add. Yeah. So then. And we had kind of compared it to surrounding villages.
Yeah.
We were all
And then
relatively close.
original fees were what, 20 some years old?
Yeah, 25 years.
And I think those are all well within reason.
Yes. Okay,
All right,
I'd make a motion to accept.
We need a second. I'll second.
second, all in favor?
I
Opposed? Okay, so new business.
All right, we had a meeting last month at the village council. And it brought to the council's attention that we've had uh, several complaints on semis running after they've loaded or unloaded their vehicles at night. The one we've had the most of is down there at the Dollar General store. Drivers come in, the store's closed, so they sit there all night with their trucks running. For you.
Right next to a home.
Right next to a home. And the lady has talked to the store manager. He's talked to the district manager, and they both say, well, yeah, we'll take care of it. And it does slow up, but then it starts over. She's talked to truck drivers. She's been threatened a few times. with truck
Oh,
drivers.
wow.
So, and I've heard complaints out there. It was Varner's trailer court. I think now it's Doug Bragg's trailer court. Same issue, trucks sitting there running all weekend long, drivers are at home. So I
Oh, they
think,
let the reefers run all weekend?
well, in the wintertime, they let the trucks run.
Okay.
In the summertime, they probably have reefer units. I'm not out there, I can't.
Sure.
But, rather than trying to restrict where they park, I think that's more the object of the person who owns a property if they have issues with them being there. But I think we need to try and take care of the noise issue. And, I added, recreational campers and vehicles to this. I don't know if maybe you watched the news in the past where you've seen these cities where people are buying old campers and they pull them up on the street, homeless people, and they sit in and live in them. We had a homeless person living in the park down here this last summer, I believe, in a car. It wasn't a camper, but that could be the next step. So I think to try and get this stopped before it gets started, I'm not saying they have to. There's an article part in there for fines that they have to be, that's gonna be up to the police officer to give them a warning or whatever, but this gives some teeth to it, so if there's repeat offenders or something, that something to be done about it. Because that's part of the integrity of being in a R1 or B2, is it's residential.
Your peace and quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this something that we need the solicitor to draw up, or is this already,
Well, I typed this up myself.
so
Now,
we currently have nothing in our code about it?
right, I figured it'd be in this 900 codes in the book. I don't remember, but I felt that was where this was, and then we can change that too. Like I said, I typed this up on my own.
Right.
As far as the part of it. Now, I copied a lot of this off as far as violations, provision for the ordinance failure and copy, and that stuff, that come right out of our zoning book. I just put it over onto this, so it'll be with it. And as far as it says in here,
How often, Dollar General, how often is there a violation? Is there a truck running on?
well,
Is this just once in a while?
no, this has been a repeated offense.
They get a lot of trucks.
And they've had issues right over here at the Family Dollar and the Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
I talked to the previous owner that owned the Kmart's IGA. They had the same issue with drivers coming in there, letting their trucks run, neighbors complaining. So, and they had even issues with people leaving, the trucks leaving their lights on, shining across the street in the neighbor's house all night long. So I think we need to address it, give it some teeth, so we can take care of it as far as these two.
Where's the 900? What section is that?
Like the very last page,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
74.
19
So Bill, the only other place that I think it would be suitable would be to create a subsection for, section 919. 919 is strictly titled noise, right? So this is addressing a noise condition thing, right?
Right.
Well, what about headlights? So I guess headlights wouldn't be on if the thing wasn't running, right?
Not for long.
9.2 is glare.
Well, the reason I put this, because a lot of trucks will sit there if the clearance lights on.
Oh, yeah.
And that truck sits higher than what that fence is, it's gonna be right
Sure.
in their windows, so that's why I added the lights
Mhm.
as part of the
I
stipulation.
guess they could have it plugged in and leave their lights on, not run a battery dead.
That's why I put standalone generators, because if you tell them, well, they can't run the reefer unit off the truck, but they can put a standalone generator beside it and plug it in, you got just as much noise.
Yeah,
There's gonna be people that's gonna try and circumvent any law you create. Or a camper sitting out there, is, you know, somebody's got. Standalone generator, that's why I added it to it, just try and cover as many bases as I could.
I mean, I like it. I think we,
So were you able to compare this when any other ordinances that dealt with this subject matter?
Yeah, well, I took this off. Primarily, the belt of it is offline, but theirs was prohibited parking. No parking, there wasn't anything to do with noise or something, but I didn't want to get into the parking aspect of it. So I took what they had, took out the parking and put in the noise part of it. So actually, all I added was have the motor or engine for the refrigeration unit. Everything else, the hot shot, any combination of power unit, that all come right out of their ordinances. That was copied, that's not my
Right.
legal expertise.
You're not that good, are you?
No, not even close. And the same way with the section B, as using this section, residential areas means all areas within the village outside of I-1 industrial district. There's a city. I just changed that to that. So that's, and then when it comes to violations, that was copied right out of our book. I took out some of the paragraphs because it was part of the violations for buildings. Building violations.
So where is it allowed?
I-1
That's the only place.
Yeah.
So I-1 is where,
industrial park.
yeah,
That's how my damn shop is.
that's the only place in,
Well, you've got the old Weatherhead.
Nope, it's outside the village.
It's outside
Yeah.
village.
Dan's shop and Fritz's shop are the
is the
only,
only industrial park we have.
well, and always storage.
But, you know,
so it's not allowed in I-2.
no, the I-2 sits right there by the elevator and there's a house right, there's a truck sits there every weekend. There's a house right behind it. That's why I couldn't.
That's in my backyard.
Yeah, you know, there's people right there. That's why
He
I,
has left it on one time, but.
Right.
But it's not a problem, that problem.
and this isn't something the police are gonna have to go around looking for every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But they get a complaint,
Yeah.
they got the tools
We
to
need to
work
give
with.
them a lever, yeah, there's a complaint.
Right. So do we want to stop this, or do we want to do we need to send it to the solicitor to add this?
Well, if we went to adopt it, then the next step, it will go before the council for a first reading.
That's it.
And then if the
Go through council first.
And if the council likes it the way it is, then they'll give it to the solicitor to make sure that the verbiage is legal and,
So it has to go to council first.
yeah.
So
Once,
I
then
don't
after it goes to
think we
council,
need
then
to
it comes
do
back
that.
for a public hearing.
Do we need to vote on it for it to go to council?
Yes.
Yes, we have to vote on, we have to approve it, and what I was hoping
Well,
for.
this is why, made mention earlier, it's like, that process is kind of clunky.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in
I
the
wanted to
last
get this,
several
when we
years.
do that other.
You can
stuff
send
with-
this to council and they can change, delete, add, and
Right.
then it'll come back to us, right?
So after they've gone through the first reading, it goes to a public hearing.
Right.
Okay, all right.
And then if we have people come up and they say, they've got a lot of issues and they convince us that maybe we need to change something in it,
Yeah.
we can at that time and take it
And
back
we're
to
the
council.
ones that hold the public hearing.
Yeah.
It's all, this meeting.
So
If we approve this tonight, we'll wait till we get the rest of it ready to go and send it all once that way. It's all one big public hearing. We're not having a.
So
That's why I say we.
Isn't this a
typically
common-
we typically have done this as like an annual activity.
Right.
So we go through and make all these revisions, accumulate them, and then once a year go through the bulky process. So, but if we have something that is more timely sensitive, then.
It's like marijuana.
So we may as well throw the marijuana stuff and this in, and
yeah,
If we agree on voting on it and.
And we-
Isn't this a pretty common thing though at restaurants or not, stores? Dollar Generals, anything that would come in here. If it's in the residential area, they're gonna be having delivery trucks.
Right.
And they're gonna be waiting on them to open up, you know?
Do we
But-
have,
Right, what's their option? They're not gonna sit
Hang out
there.
at the Loves.
Yeah, that's what,
Honestly, and I have truck drivers that do that.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
They'll call me-
I don't know how
they'll
that
call me the
works.
day ahead of time. I'm like, we're outside the village. It's like, we got a big parking lot. You can park here or you can stay at the Loves.
Mhm.
You can go in and get a cup of coffee there. So I have a
'Cause
lot,
I know that's,
I have a lot of trucks that do that.
I'm not a
It's
truck
hard.
driver. I don't know how that all works, but
Yeah,
we gotta make sure that,
and we have provisions in here, as long as they're making a delivery and they're loading or unloading, they don't have to show off the truck for that. It's just when they're parked,
right.
which.
waiting?
Yeah.
Okay,
And even at that,
So they can-
here again, it has to be initiated by a complaint.
Mhm.
So even the neighbor's gonna, if they don't open till 8, he's there at 7:45,
Right.
they're probably not gonna think of us. They pull in at 5 in and that diesel's rattling for the next 3 hours.
I get it.
Where are you gonna be fickle?
do we have any businesses inside? Well, we wouldn't though, right?
But-
Do we have anything inside the residential district that gets deliveries like this?
Besides these two here, the dollar
Just
store.
those two?
No, yeah,
So B2 is residential, right? It's
And-
mixed,
Okay,
all in B2.
The Oasis, but that's,
that's P1.
Oh.
This. But you got the gas station, you got the pit stop, it's B2. I don't know if they've ever had any issue with trucks there. I've never heard any complaints. I know
enough
we've
room
had,
probably.
The Oasis you're talking about.
no, I'm talking about gas station pit stop out there. So you say Marathon, but then you got two of them, so you're not very specific.
I think the gas stations are all open.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
right.
something that should.
And they're mostly local deliveries. So that's what got this generated. The council felt that we did need something. I told them I'd try and generate an ordinance and we bring it to you guys, discuss it. This is the best I could come up with my limited knowledge of legal.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Does anybody else?
But if like Mark said, if we want to change this section 928 or whatever, that's fine with me too. If you want to put it as a subsection with something else, that's.
Moving forward, though, do we not let businesses that are having deliveries in a residential area? I don't know.
Well, they can't be in a Pacific residential area because of it being R1, but if it's B2, yeah, they're gonna be in there, but this just limits them being able to let their
Right.
trucks run all night. Any place on 49 from Hops
Right.
Bar out south on the east side of the road is B2.
Right.
And any of those houses can go out and the business can pop up in any of them. Any type of business, well, it's considered light industrial. I think it's limited to that, but.
And this covers those areas.
Right, well, this rest of the D2 corridor, or whatever that was, 49 corridor covers what businesses are and aren't allowed in a B2 district. Industrial.
Everybody's okay with it?
So I guess the only thing that I would question is that, so we've kind of categorized this or limited this to operating, running and or lights on in residential areas. Except while engaged in loading and unloading. And so we've kind of implied that we haven't said R1, right? We just said residential. So,
Section B defines that.
but I'm just saying, should we expand that or
Well, that's what-
parenthetical or something?
Section B says, as used in this section, residential areas means all areas within the village outside of the I1 industrial district. So that covers everything but
Yeah,
I1.
and that was kind of the way that they had it set up.
Yeah, that was rather than trying to.
It's just a weird use of, it differs from the way that we use that term.
That's, like I said, I copied this off of theirs.
It does kind of rally it back in.
What's your thoughts?
Well, my feeling is we don't wanna What would happen if, the dollar store could only get a delivery at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Well, they'd be loading and unloading, and it's approved.
So the truck gets there at 4:30. Is he illegal then? Because we're not gonna load till 5?
Because his motor's not running. All this says is he needs to shut off his engine.
Well, but even at that, Ken, so, it goes back to it's only gonna get acted upon when a complaint has been made, right? The police are not driving around looking for running semis or listening for running semis, so it's not an active engagement for officers to target. It's to try and give residents an opportunity to have that rig that's sitting out there running all night long shut off. Or move the darn thing down to the Love's truck
Well,
stop
here
and,
by-
go enjoy where everyone else is in
I
the truck
can
running.
tell you this, out by farmers. Trucks, the trucks parking there that's running, they're not making near the noise as the trucks made before they built a new highway, going up and down the highway.
You're sitting in that trailer
Uh,
all weekend with that truck running and you hear it. Trailers are not insulated very well. They're gonna hear that truck sitting there all weekend long and running. That's what this is, to protect the
I have
residents.
my doubts whether there's gonna be a truck out there running all weekend long. That's the price of fuel.
I drive by there daily.
If there's nothing there, then there's not a problem. This is only if there is a problem.
So the guy that parks behind my home, is he not gonna be able to park his truck there anymore?
Yeah, he can park it there.
We just can't have
You just can't leave
I
it
mean,
running.
he has to let it run a little bit to warm it up.
Right, but he can't just
Yeah.
leave it and go home and you're sit there listening to his truck run all week.
Okay.
You have to use some common sense, I guess, but the guy.
I'm sure law enforcement would apply a pretty liberal degree of basic common sense before issuing a citation.
Yeah, that's just,
Our guys are pretty.
You made it sound like it.
yeah, just protect your privacy. Because right now there's one truck. Who knows what next year's gonna be? They might be, see, they're clearing off that other lot for more parking for semis.
Yeah.
You could end up with 5 trucks over there with 3 of them running.
Good.
That's what we're
At
trying to
first when it
stop.
Started, it woke me up, and then I listened to it, and now if it's not running, I'll wake up and be like, where's the semi? But I look at it, the elevator was there before I moved there, it's part of the elevator.
Right.
I don't have to.
So I'd like to make a motion to adopt this section 928.
That's not good.
Can't, you don't have a.
You're
Ah, sorry.
on both
That's
sides.
true, I'm
You're on
not
both sides of the fence.
I'm
You gotta
not
stay,
even-
you gotta stay outside of the vote.
I'm
Yeah.
good, buddy.
You're Mr. Neutral.
So there has to be a complaint and then they use their judgment. The police have to use their own judgment.
It's
What-
like, it's
We're
like.
just making it so we have something that they can fall back onto.
Right. So if the residents completely complaining, the police say, well, sorry, there's nothing I can do about
Right,
it.
because there's nothing in our laws. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll second.
So what is it, your second to what? To take it to the council?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, and they'll go through it, right?
Right.
And decide whether we want to adopt it. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay,
council's one that has to adopt it.
Yes.
We're making recommendation,
right.
basically what this is, they'll go to the council and they'll review it. And they'll
So
send
we
it
need to
back.
vote on that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Or
By
those.
I'm for Senate and council.
Yep.
Oh, your time has expired. I gotta go.
Any other new business? No. We need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Before we adjourn, one thing just to kind of keep in mind, Daniel, because you are participating in the variance and any of those outside activities within the community, please bring anything to our attention that needs attention.
As far as,
Yeah, any weaknesses that you see in
Yeah,
that,
sure.
making your life difficult or creating discord in the community.
yeah,
It's just right where we need to get these things worked out.
yeah, I think,
agree.
I agree with that.
think we. We've been on point.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Would it- would it-
Anybody make-
Would it be worthwhile for you to like keep a running list of variances that are requested? That might be generate some consideration for change?
I haven't, have we had any requested since I started? I don't think,
Variance, I think would have to go through you. At some point, I assume, I don't know.
Yeah, they have to file,
either Brian or,
yeah, they have to file for a variance permit. I think now it's going through Brian Davis. He's taking care of the paperwork part of it. But yeah, the building
I
inspector.
think I have to sign off on it.
Right.
But, I haven't seen, the only thing. Variance,
I mean, it'd just be nice to know from an accumulation standpoint of if we have a year's time. Once a month, somebody's making the exact same variance request. And it gets approved, it kind of is a red flag to me that. An opportunity to improve the ordinance,
sure.
because
We
then
decided there was a variance committee and appeals.
Send us an email.
It's all under
it's all in the
appeals.
same group, yeah. They have separate meetings, I thought it was separate groups, but these
Yeah, same
separate
board
meetings
takes
for
care of
each
both.
instance.
I don't know that this is a variance, but Brian sent it to me. I haven't really looked at it. Something about Gabe wanting to own parcels on Oswald Street, 2 parcels, wants to combine them. That's just the paperwork. I don't know if that's a variance or not.
Read that again, please.
Sorry. Our former zoning guy, Gabe, has owned parcels on Oswald Street. Oswald, he gives the 2 lot numbers. 015 is only 5 feet wide. He wants to combine that with another one. Attached is the paperwork, and like I said, I haven't looked at it yet.
First step of that is it has to be the zoning board, and it goes to council, and the council has to approve it. Or it
To be,
We've got that defined in our ordinance and that.
to be combined with village approval. I don't know if that means us or the council. All buildings, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm not totally sure what this is, or if it
Personally,
needs.
I'd rather see that we eliminate 5-foot wide lots.
Right.
Right, so
We've got a lot of
we don't
stuff
wanna
on
have a lot
here.
of barriers to entry to do the right thing and something like that. That's. We don't wanna open the floodgates of
We've already got.
people rearranging property lines, but.
So. Looks like the only signatures on here is zoning officer and township village, so I'll ask him.
More about it.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't really looked at it, but aside from that, I haven't had any, we've had a handful of permits that we've filled out. But as far as,
Fences or new construction.
oh, I think one was for Gabe's new build that he's building, and then there was,
Is that gonna be an Oswald?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's gonna need to get that figured out so he can manage his setbacks.
the,
Depending on what that property looks like, I don't know, but,
is it this property you think that he's trying to, is that he is?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yes, I heard he's building on Oswald.
Yeah, but his dad owns some property on the other side of the street too, so I don't know where all Don had.
Okay. Properties. I thought just by Family Dollar here.
Yeah.
Right above here.
Between Family Dollar and Tom.
Here's one.
An accessory structure.
Looks like it. I think it's yeah. Must be a accessory. So I imagine if there's variances, it would make its way to me.
I would hope.
I would think it would have
I
to.
would hope.
I could have a conversation with him about that.
So there's an alley right there.
And he owns
There's a process for that too,
Well,
you know,
and,
where the neighbors are notified and
right,
certain things, so.
well.
I don't know that goes into a public hearing for
This
that.
is a.
Not that I know, as far as I know, it's just any adjacent neighbors are,
Hunting.
you know, provided the information that the guy's been requested and the nature of it. And given an
I don't
opportunity
even
to.
remember now.
And the appeals would be
But
the same
then I
thing,
can
right?
Look up property lines and whatever. Knows what.
Yeah, I would think that, I'm not.
So it would be just north of the dollar.
Mr. Know-it-all when it comes to these books.
We're not attorneys.
No, we're volunteers.
Yeah, right.
One there, they own.
Well, I make a motion.
No, they don't think they own that one. That's
Yeah,
owned by.
thank,
All in favor, stand up.
yeah.
Any other business? Okay.
General comment. Is there a way that like, and you're probably on council along with Bryce,